How did a 3-hour, R-rated historical drama with no traditional action sequences centered on quantum physics, ethical quandaries, and cabinet meetings shatter box office expectations, nearing a staggering $1 billion worldwide? How did a film depicting scientists wrestling with equations in lecture halls become a fiery topic dominating dinner tables, social media, and global discourse? Oppenheimer isn't just a movie, it's a seismic cultural event. Its success defies conventional Hollywood logic. This isn't a superhero saga or a nostalgic franchise extension. It's a dense, morally complex biography of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, filmed largely in claustrophobic rooms filled with tense dialogue. Yet, it captivated mass audiences, ignited fierce debates, and achieved both critical reverence and commercial triumph on an unprecedented scale. The answer lies in a potent, almost alchemical convergence of factors. At its core stands the undeniable gravitational pull of its creator, Christopher Nolan. Nolan isn't just a director. He's evolved into a brand synonymous with intellectual ambition, monumental scale, and cinematic integrity. His name itself is a cultural beacon, a cyber witness guaranteeing an event that demands attention. Audiences trust Nolan to deliver not just spectacle, but profound ideas rendered with stunning clarity. He possesses the rare gift of controlled complexity. Think about the challenge. Translating the abstract terror of quantum mechanics, the labyrinthine politics of the Manhattan Project, and the crushing weight of ethical responsibility into a narrative that's not just understandable, but utterly gripping. Nolan's genius is making the intricacies of nuclear fission and the torment of conscience feel as visceral and urgent as any car chase. He transforms heady concepts into palpable human drama. But a visionary director alone isn't enough. Oppenheimer resonated because it holds up a dark mirror to our present moment. It re-examines that pivotal flashpoint where humanity crossed a threshold, birthing not just a weapon, but arguably the Anthropocene epic itself. This isn't merely a history lesson about WW2. It's an interrogation of existential questions that echo with terrifying relevance today. The film's central, agonizing dilemma became its defining mantra, plastered across think pieces and social media debates. These questions slice through the decades. They resonate with our contemporary anxieties about artificial intelligence hurtling towards unknown capabilities, about climate change technologies offering salvation laced with peril, about biotech breakthroughs blurring ethical lines. Oppenheimer tapped into a deep, universal vein of concern, the fear of our own creation turning against us, the unease about power without wisdom. It forced audiences to confront uncomfortable truths about ambition, complicity, and the fragile line between genius and hubris. By framing this pivotal moment in history, Nolan didn't just show us the past, he held up a lens to our own precarious future. The film landed precisely when the world was acutely primed to wrestle with its profound, unsettling themes. This introductory block sets the stage. We've encountered the astonishing central question, the billion-dollar enigma of a dialogue-heavy historical epic. We've acknowledged the colossal pull of Christopher Nolan's authorial vision and his mastery of complex storytelling. And we felt the chilling resonance of the film's core ethical and existential dilemmas, connecting the atomic anxieties of the 1940s directly to the technological precipice we face now. But this is only the beginning. The phenomenon of Oppenheimer runs deeper. How did Nolan craft such an intellectually demanding narrative into a genuine cinematic blockbuster? What was the alchemy of sound, image, and performance that made it so immersive? And what was the role of that utterly unexpected cultural hurricane known as Barbenheimer? These are the layers we will unravel in the blocks that follow. To dissect Oppenheimer's grip on audiences, we must first descend into Nolan's meticulously constructed sensory labyrinth. The film's triumph isn't merely narrative, it's physiological. Nolan weaponizes cinema's primal tools, sound and image, to bypass intellectual detachment, forcing viewers into Oppenheimer's fractured psyche. Consider the Trinity test sequence, a crescendo of dread spanning 20 agonizing minutes. Here, Nolan employs acoustic terrorism. The absence of sound becomes deafening, a vacuum where audiences confront their own pulse, mirroring Oppenheimer's suffocating anxiety. When the detonation finally erupts, it's not a Hollywood explosion. The shock wave arrives as a delayed, distorted roar. Sound waves traveling slower than light, warped by distance and disbelief. This isn't spectacle, it's sonic horror, a visceral reminder that nuclear energy exists beyond human sensory comprehension. The score by Ludwig Göransson operates as a neurological trigger. Violins screech like Geiger counters overdosing on radiation. Ominous cello drones mimic the subharmonic rumble of unstable isotopes. But the true masterstroke lies in the temporal distortion of musical motifs. During Oppenheimer's 1954 security hearing, the music slows to a near standstill. Time itself stretched thin, mirroring his psychological disintegration. Contrast this with the frenetic staccato strings during the Los Alamos sequences, where scientific fervor borders on mania. Göransson's compositions don't accompany the drama, they metabolize it, transforming abstract physics and moral anguish into auditory adrenaline. Visually, Nolan and cinematographer Hoyt van Hoytema wage war on detachment. The shifting aspect ratios aren't gimmicks, but psychological brackets. Oppenheimer's subjective moments explode in full IMAX grandeur. The swirling starscapes of his quantum visions, the hellish orange plumes of his atomic nightmares. Yet, when the bureaucracy of destruction closes in, the drab hearing rooms, the claustrophobic congressional chambers, the frame constricts to 35mm narrow confines. This isn't cinematic showmanship, it's visual incarceration, trapping viewers in Oppenheimer's cognitive prison. Even the much-debated nudity serves this immersion. The raw vulnerability of those scenes, stripped of Hollywood's sanitized eroticism, becomes a metaphor for scientific hubris laid bare. The editing rhythm performs its own quantum ballet. Jennifer Lame's cuts oscillate between meditative slowness and frenetic urgency, mirroring the film's central tension, the excruciating versus the irreversible. During the bomb's development, scenes linger on faces. Close-ups of furrowed brows, trembling hands, eyes glazed with existential dread. Time dilates. But once the genie escapes the bottle, the montage accelerates into a temporal avalanche. Newsreel flashes of Hiroshima devastation, Oppenheimer's haunted stare, politicians clapping like automatons. This isn't mere pacing, it's engineered disorientation, forcing viewers to experience history's acceleration alongside the characters. At the nucleus of this sensory bombardment stands Cillian Murphy's career-defining performance. His Oppenheimer isn't portrayed, it's exercised. Notice the physical transformation, the gaunt frame evoking both ascetic genius and radiation sickness, the hypnotic blue eyes reflecting both cosmic wonder and bottomless guilt. Murphy weaponizes stillness. His slightest facial tremor, a twitch under the right eye during the "I am become death" speech, an almost imperceptible lip quiver when confronted with Hiroshima photos, becomes a seismic event. This isn't acting, it's biological warfare against emotional detachment. Supporting players orbit him like charged particles. Robert Downey Jr.'s Strauss simmers with petty vindictiveness masked as patriotism. Emily Blunt's Kitty Oppenheimer radiates ferocious intelligence laced with vodka-soaked despair. Even minor characters, Benny Safdie's unhinged Teller, Florence Pugh's tragically fragile Jean Tatlock, feel like shards of Oppenheimer's splintered soul. Yet for all its technical audacity, Oppenheimer might have remained a niche prestige film without the Barbenheimer cultural supernova. This accidental marketing phenomenon wasn't mere meme alchemy. The stark contrast between pastel plastic utopia and monochromatic atomic horror created a cultural short-circuit. Audiences flocked to experience extreme tonal whiplash, the ultimate double feature of creation and destruction. But deeper still, Barbenheimer exposed our collective cognitive dissonance. We could gorge on pink capitalism's excess while confronting humanity's capacity for self-annihilation, a perfect mirror of our TikTok-era psyche, where apocalyptic climate reports scroll alongside viral dance challenges. Nolan's film became the sobering counterweight to our dopamine-chasing age, its gravity amplified by juxtaposition. This fusion of technical mastery and cultural timing created forced empathy. Moviegoers didn't just watch Oppenheimer's story, they relived the chain reaction of guilt, fear, and awe. The film's sensory onslaught made theoretical physics intimate and moral philosophy inescapable. Every frame, every sound wave, every silence was engineered to transform historical biography into collective reckoning. But as we'll explore next, Oppenheimer's cultural impact extends far beyond theaters. Its true legacy lies in reigniting global debates about scientific ethics, government secrecy, and humanity's precarious dance with progress. Themes will detonate in Block 3. If Nolan's sensory assault made the atomic age, the film's cultural detonation made it inescapable. Oppenheimer didn't just dominate discourse, it weaponized it. The silence following Trinity's blast radiated outward, contaminating dinner tables, UN committees, and TikTok feeds with renewed urgency about humanity's nuclear precipice. This wasn't mere film criticism, it was ideological fission, splitting the cultural atom to expose our unresolved nuclear anxieties. The debates followed Oppenheimer's own quantum duality. Scientists hailed the film's moral vertigo, its refusal to simplify the equation of discovery versus destruction. Physicists noted how Nolan visualized quantum physics as psychedelic ripples in a pond, making Schrodinger's cat accessible through cinematic metaphor. Yet ethicists recoiled at the Trinity sequence's beauty, arguing that aestheticizing the bomb's birth glamorized humanity's deadliest creation. The film became a Rorschach test, those who saw hubris in Oppenheimer's tears versus those who recognized prophecy in his hollow stare. Politically, the film ignited chain reactions. In Washington, screenings sparked bipartisan arguments over AI ethics, with lawmakers drawing parallels between Los Alamos secrecy and Silicon Valley's black box algorithms. North Korea banned the film. Russia labeled it CIA propaganda, while Japan's reception split generations. Survivors groups criticized Nolan's off-screen depiction of Hiroshima as cowardly abstraction, while younger audiences praised the choice as anti-sensationalist. This wasn't cross-cultural dialogue, it was mutually assured deconstruction, exposing how nuclear trauma remains fractal, infinitely complex, irreparably divisive. Academia experienced its own critical mass. Philosophy departments dissected the film's temporal morality, how Nolan juxtaposes Oppenheimer's 1954 hearing with Strauss's 1959 confirmation, creating a causal loop where past and future mutually annihilate. Historians clashed over artistic license versus factual erasure, particularly regarding marginalized Manhattan Project figures like physicist Lily Hornig. Meanwhile, Gen Z's fascination birthed atomic TikTok, viral edits splicing Trinity test footage with Oppenheimer memes, doomsday clock updates, and AI-generated nuclear nightmares. The film's most subversive act? Exposing 21st century Oppenheimers. Tech CEOs faced renewed scrutiny as digital Prometheans. Had they too unleashed forces beyond control? Zuckerberg's metaverse hearings echoed Oppenheimer's trial. Altman's congressional testimonies borrowed his rhetoric of cautious optimism. Nolan's lens became a mirror, reflecting our era's techno-utopian delusions and existential gambles. Global protests weaponized the film's iconography. Climate activists superimposed Oppenheimer's face onto melting glaciers. Anti-nuclear rallies adopted Murphy's 1,000-yard stare as their emblem. Even Hollywood recoiled. The film's success forced a reckoning with superhero fatigue, proving audiences crave moral complexity over CGI sludge. Yet Oppenheimer's true cultural mutation occurred in linguistic space. Phrases like "I am become death" infiltrated political speeches and protest signs. Oppenheimer's line, "Theory will take you only so far," became shorthand for AI ethics debates. Most tellingly, the word Trinity shed its religious connotations, reborn as meme vernacular for irreversible consequences. She Trinity'd their relationship by texting her ex. Language itself fissured under the film's influence. The score now evolves into sonic allegory. This juxtaposition, innocence versus technological dread, underscores the film's lingering question: can humanity outgrow its destructive brilliance? Streaming data reveals disturbing patterns. Surging searches for nuclear bunker designs in NATO countries, spikes in Oppenheimer-Einstein fanfiction exploring queer readings of their letters, ASMR videos role-playing as Manhattan Project physicists. As the discourse accelerates toward Event Horizon, we confront Nolan's ultimate provocation: art as delayed fallout. Just as Oppenheimer's team couldn't predict the bomb's long-term radiation, the filmmakers couldn't anticipate how their creation would mutate global consciousness. The movie isn't a period piece, it's a temporal grenade, its shrapnel embedding in future debates about CRISPR, quantum computing, and Martian colonization. But the final word belongs to history.